Good afternoon, honorable members. This session resumes. When we broke for lunch for the suspension, we were discussing the merchant shipping and a liability and compensation bill 2024, and to that we shall revert. Honorable member for St. James South Central, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, I rise to make a very brief intervention in this matter, triggered by what I believe have been a number of inaccuracies entered into the record of this House by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, and which, in the interest only of propriety, ought to be responded to. Well, ma'am, as you know, the Honourable Member loves to share the knowledge he has of William Shakespeare, and he finds a way of infusing it into almost every speech that he utters. And I fear that sometimes it is a cover for the absence of depth on more substantive matters. But were he here, ma'am, I would remind him of the fact that the same Shakespeare has once said that what a man may within him hide, though he appear to be an angel on the outside, or asked rather, not said, what may a man within him hide, though he appear to be an angel on the outside. And we saw that inherent contradiction, ma'am, displayed before us only very recently by the Honourable Member. You had intervened, ma'am, to steer him away from the Barbados Labour Party's annual conference, and I am entirely at your disposal, ma'am, if you wish to steer me away too. But I also feel that...
I will be fair in my deliberations, sir.
Pardon?
I shall be fair in my deliberations.
You will be fair?
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. And I only venture so far as to say that the Prime Minister of this country, who is political leader of the Barbados Labour Party, gave an address to the conference of the Barbados Labour Party on Saturday afternoon, and that the mischief which is being put abroad in this place and more widely on social media is deeply unfortunate. We're all human beings, ma'am, and accidents can happen to anybody. And that a light post or camera or lighting post would have fallen and injured an honourable member of this place is something that is not worthy of the type of treatment that it is getting out there. And we do ourselves as a parliament, first of all, and in my respectful submission, ma'am, as a country, absolutely no good when we reduce to a matter of mirth and merriment, a personal injury that can befall not only a member of this place, if we are all to be hated for being members, but that can befall any other human being. And it should never come to that. I feel it to be deeply unfortunate, ma'am, that it was peddled in this place by he who should know better and who should be far more mature in his presentation. But that is what those are the new depths that have been plumbed by the opposition Democratic Labour Party. And if that is what they stand for and nothing else, then ma'am, so be it. We were treated, ma'am, to a recitation of woe. We were treated, ma'am, to what I can only assume to be a predetermined speech that made no contact whatsoever with the substance of the legislation piloted in the House today. And more worryingly, ma'am, betrayed a complete absence of knowledge about the front page of today's newspaper. And I can come to that shortly. Ma'am, we were told that government has failed the fishing industry. We were told that government has no plan for the fishing industry. And while I am sorely tempted to begin there, I feel I have a duty in this place to set the record of this government right on the completely false claim that unemployment has reached its highest levels. I think the language was unprecedentedly high level of unemployment in Barbados. That was said not once, not twice, not even thrice, ma'am, but more times. And the fact of the matter is, ma'am, that when you go to the Barbados Statistical Services data published this year, and I invite any member of the press to go, because there's a point in time when journalists in this country cannot be mere vassals of information, cannot be reducing themselves to what is called a form of amanuensis, that you are a mere scribe, but that you must, of a moral duty, if nothing else, feel an urge to intervene and to say this is the record, the public record, available for any Barbadian who is interested not in his own mythology, but in truth and in fact. Because you're entitled to any opinion you want under the sun. What you're not entitled to is to create your own facts. And the leader of the opposition, ma'am, cannot be heard to say, in silence at any rate, that this country has seen its highest level of unemployment, unprecedentedly high unemployment, when, ma'am, unemployment for the first quarter of this year was at the record low level of 6.9%, and crept up in the second quarter to 7.7%. And to the best of our knowledge, information, and belief, has gotten no higher. And there's certainly no evidence anywhere to suggest that. So I want to begin there, ma'am, because it is on that level, and that level, first of all, that it is clear that he who gave of himself as a response on behalf of the opposition in this country did no justice to Barbados, did no justice to Barbados's achievements since the dark and dismal years of the period 2008 to 2018, when unemployment certainly got as high as 16%, 14% around that time, or during that time. And ma'am, it is a question now of national achievement, that we have been able to wrestle it not down to the ground, but down to a level which it has hardly ever seen before. Now, ma'am, I want to come to the bill. I want to also speak to the substance of what was said by the leader of the opposition, who in my judgment hanged himself on the scaffold of his own rhetoric. Now, the shameful recitation that was offered to this country, and misrepresentation, ma'am, touched on a number of issues. And I think that we heard a lot about the fishing industry in Barbados. As I say, ma'am, we were asked to accept that government has failed the industry. And I want to walk us through what transpired very slowly. Because on the day on which Hurricane Beryl impacted Barbados, this country saw an unprecedented level of, the word I'm thinking of is coastal, but the wave action would not simply be coastal. It would be, anyhow, wave action activity. I can't remember the correct phrase, but let me, for want of a better way of put it that way. That we saw storm surge, the level of which we have never seen before. And that a fishing harbor that has served this country usefully for in excess, ma'am, of 30 years, that has served this country usefully, that was purpose-built, and that protected vessels that were put in that harbor on several occasions over the last 3 decades of our lives, that breakwater was broken and devastated boats inside the harbor, and indeed those that were on dry dock as well. Now, ma'am, I start there by saying that automatically indicates to you that this is something out of the ordinary. I am the most surprised person to hear that a serious parliament in a serious country like Barbados would be entreated, would be urged, would be asked to accept that that can become an issue for the government. Because there have been several governments over the last 30 years, and the issue has never arisen. And when we invested in building the breakwater, and then we tested it and tested it and tested it again with several passing storms successively, we all felt a degree of comfort in the knowledge that that is the safe and secure and the correct place to send boats, because from as far back as your memory can go over the last 30 years, 3 decades of experience, no less, that is the place where you can safely store them. How could the Honourable Member for Christchurch East, who is Minister responsible for these matters, have known Home Affairs? How could he have known that the storm surge was going to be of such magnitude and severity that it would breach the breakwater, destroy the stones and concrete, which are the protective siding, the dolos as they are called, and then do such damage to the fleet that was sheltered in there? How could he have known that there would be an act of God? And that is what this Parliament is now being asked to debate. That the government should have known that there was going to be an act of God. Effectively, that is what is falling from the lips of the member for Christchurch South. And ma'am, I continue to say, this is probably now the 15th time I have said it since he's assumed the chair of leader of the opposition. I truly expected better of him and from him. And I am convinced now that I have failed myself, because I have obviously set the bar of expectation way too high. So we are attacked on the basis of an act of God taking place, which none but he apparently could foresee. And ma'am, we are to be accused of negligence. The political point, however, is this, ma'am, and I want the record of the House to reflect that that same honourable member has chastised this government and the leader of this government for paying too much attention to the issue of the climate crisis and for being distracted, as he put it in previous speeches, on the issue of climate change. Now, you can't have it both ways. I have stood in this place and I have lamented the fact that the Democratic Labour Party has to be able to have a policy with respect to the question of the climate crisis and with respect to climate change. I have said it in this place during this term of this government, during the last couple of months. And ma'am, we have once again been treated to a double speak. You can't have a forked tongue that one side of your mouth says one thing and the other side says another. There has to be a policy of the Democratic Labour Party. And ma'am, what we have heard today is a condemnation of a government and a condemnation of a posture adopted by the government, where it has consistently tried to make sure that the crisis of climate is something that we build adaptability to, that we build resilience to. And ma'am, now we are being told that there's a completely different perspective that the Democratic Labour Party has. Now, I want to say, ma'am, that on the question of the actual damage, we heard the minister responsible for fisheries indicate that 240 boats were damaged or destroyed, and of them 149 boats were severely damaged. I want to speak to the actions of the government, because it is a sad thing. I tell you, it is like a recitation of woe. How does a leader of the opposition in a serious country not know that there was a benevolent fund created by the government as a matter of first resort in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl? How does he not know this? And how does a serious leader of the opposition, supposedly representing a serious political party, stand in this serious place and call for the establishment of a bank account when the benevolent fund existed from day one? In fact, ma'am, I do not believe that 48 hours had passed before the Honourable Prime Minister of Barbados announced to the public, which I presume includes the Democratic Labour Party's leader, that there would be the creation of the benevolent fund. And we have heard today that it has thus far been capitalized at $2 million, and that there have been a range, a cross-section of contributors. The one certain thing I am now certain about is that Mr. Ralph Thorne, whosoever he or she may be, was not a contributor. Now, ma'am, I go further. What I would have wanted to hear, and what this country must now demand from its leadership, and what our Prime Minister committed this country to and this party to on Saturday, was that we have conversations which are not just idle old talk. Because anybody, you don't have to be elected to come in here, anybody could sit down on the step of any rum shop in Barbados and find some idle old talk, point fingers of accusation and cast blame, cast aspersions, do whatever you want to do. But at some point, the country has to be able to move forward and be willing to move forward. And you can only do that if you're going to have conversations about solutions. I want to respectfully submit to this House, ma'am, that the conversation on solutions is a useful conversation to have in the context of what has happened to our fishing fleet. I will never buy into the view that anybody who has been elected by the cross-section of the public to come into this place, all of us, ma'am, at some point in time, had to have held the confidence of working class people in Barbados. Now, there are those who may be more devoted to other causes than the causes of the working class, and I accept that that is a human possibility. I equally believe, however, ma'am, that if it is that you're in this place and you're not prepared to have discussions on solutions to challenges confronting the working class, that you're only here to pomposette and waste the people's time. That is what we were treated to during the course of the Leader of the Opposition's presentation. Now, ma'am, we have to reflect on the other thing, which is that it has been made clear by the minister responsible for fisheries that all boat owners have received their first installment of $2,500 per month, which was the business interruption benefit. Now, this gives rise in my mind the existence of the benevolent fund and how the fund, because you have the fund. If I were sitting where he sits, ma'am, I would be asking myself, well, how is the fund going to be distributed? That, to me, Madam Deputy Speaker, seems to be the logical question. As a responsible member of this place, as a person who understands something of how you would have to administer public accounts, I would hear that there is a fund, and my mind takes me to the inevitable next step. Well, if there's a fund, who is to benefit from the fund, and how? And in what quantum, what sum? I want to use language that everybody can understand. And equally, ma'am, if the government, which he falsely and wrongfully accused of doing nothing and of failing the industry, has also implemented business interruption benefits, which are supposed to go to the dislocated fisherfolk, and that ecosystem, because he get on as though he's the only person who knows that there are people who clean boats. Well, for his information, we are aware of that, and we also know that there are people who bone fish as well. And we also know that there are people, Madam Deputy Speaker, who wash down the fish market. And we also know, Madam Deputy Speaker, that there are people who haul in the boats. And we also know, Madam Deputy Speaker, that there are several other tiers of contributor. It is an ecosystem. That is not a lesson that this side needs to learn. But what I would imagine, and what I would have hoped would have been his concern, is how do people access the business interruption benefit? And how do people access the benevolent fund? Now, this gives rise, ma'am, to the conversation about solutions. And I consider that to be an imperative in the Barbados that I live in. I happened, ma'am, to have the responsibility during COVID, when I was minister in the Ministry of Commerce, to deal with the business interruption benefits then. That this caring government once again intervened and ensured that people did not starve to death during COVID when they could not go out and work. And so therefore we had to look after those small and micro business people who depended on an income, whether they be hairdressers, cosmetologists, whether they be barbers, taxi operators, the same fisher folk. I remember dealing with Minister the member for St. Michael's South, when he was in the capacity then as the minister responsible for fisheries. And ma'am, the issues that arise are those that we should be talking about here. Using this place as a place where we advise our constituents that you cannot forever expect to do business, whatever that business may be, by hiding in the darkness. But that there must be a point in time when you come out of the darkness, and that the TAMIS account should exist. That there should be a way of us knowing what you do and helping you if we have to help you. How do we reach out to you if there's no NIS record of what you do or of your existence? How do we reach out to you if beyond national insurance, there's no record of TAMIS? Ain't nobody is going to humbug you for what you pay or don't pay by way of income tax. What we are saying is in this country, ma'am, that the vast majority of people who earn less than, $2,900 a month, they ain't paying any taxes in Barbados anyway. Because this is one of the few countries in the world where a large swath that earn under $3,000 are getting either reverse tax credits or not paying any taxation. That's the government's policy. So let us forget about the foolishness that is being peddled, and let us understand that we got to help people now to be in a position where government can help them. And government cannot help them if they don't know who you are. You cannot establish what you do because you have no formal record of anything with government. Some of these people, man, we had to reach out to personally and then try to identify from them, well, do you have a bank account number? And in some cases, there was no bank account number. So then you got to work with them to open a bank account, and Lord knows how long that can take with some banks in this country. But these are the issues, ma'am, of helping ordinary poor people. He wants to come in here and give a lamentation about the poor. But the lamentation about the poor has to start with not lecturing the government. It has to start with being willing to help the poor to understand what you need to do to put your house in order so that you can stop poor people from being poor. That is what it is about. And so therefore, ma'am, the very useful information that government needs to be able to have, you have to be able to be registered as a fisherman. That Barnufo must know of your existence. And in some cases, Barnufo did not know of the existence of people who then got to come and get a sworn affidavit to say, I in fact work with Captain Kurt Humphrey. Oh, I didn't know that until when Captain Humphrey presented us with an affidavit to say that this body worked with him and was part of a crew. So, man, these are the conversations that this parliament should be having. And the leader of the opposition and the leader of the Democratic Labour Party once again demonstrates how unsuitable the Democratic Labour Party is in times of crisis, because these are things that he has not even mentioned word one about anything like that. Now, ma'am, I want also to say that we heard, not for the first time, what I consider to be an absolute nonsense and a dangerous nonsense about this thing about leaving out what has been historically understood as safe harbor to go and put your boat on a playing field. Madam Deputy Speaker, I invite you to look at what happened in Kanawan, where boats were ripped from their moorings and deposited 1/4 and 1/2 of a mile inland. Boats lifted from a mooring where it is tied, larger than a fishing boat, ma'am. I'm talking now about some pleasure craft. Catamarans and so on, yachts, and thrown in the air like matchboxes, 1/4 mile inland, 1/2 mile inland, landing on top of people's houses. These are boats that are tied and secured in their moorings, ma'am. And I want this country to pause and reflect that if that happened with the same hurricane, what sense do we make of this garbage about taking a boat and putting it on a playing field? And can you imagine, ma'am, that if the same storm in an island right next door can pick up a boat and move it a mile away or 1/2 mile away from where it is tied on to land on top of somebody's house? Can you imagine the havoc we will be wreaking upon the earth when we take 20 fishing boats and put them on a playing field, unprotected, to let down the neighbor's wall, the neighbor's paling, land on top of the people's house. The reckless ignorance of it all, ma'am. And it is deeply unfortunate when it comes from a political party's leader that we must assume is capable of knowing better. And I don't have any, there is no difficulty, ma'am, with my engaging with something that makes sense. But I cannot understand how you could ask whimsically for somebody to take 200 boats and put them on a playing field somewhere. How do you protect the community from havoc? Then, ma'am, perhaps the deepest cut of all is that you come to this place with a predetermined malice in your mind that you're going to let go on the government at all costs. So you pass the Nation newspaper, vendors, and Austin. You looking at them? You pass the vendors in Maxwell. You ain't looking at them. You pass the vendors in Rockley. You ain't looking at them. You pass the vendors in Bay Street. You ain't looking at them. And you pass the vendors in Bridgetown because you come in here clutching on to your little handbag that got in a fauzy speech that you have to let go in the government. And because you are so gripped with a benighted level of malice and perhaps unfortunate level of ignorance to boot, you don't even pause to look in. If you come in this place, you butt upon the newspapers of the day in this place. That the headlines in today's paper read, ma'am, Barbados hard-hit fishing industry impacted by Hurricane Beryl to benefit from 45 million United States dollars, or Barbados 108 million in urgent World Bank assistance. But that's what today's paper says, ma'am. And that's what it says. Barbados hard-hit fishing industry impacted by Beryl to benefit from US 54 million, Barbados 108 million in urgent World Bank assistance. That's the front page of the paper. How then does anybody who takes themselves seriously, I don't care how bankrupt George Street is of talent, I don't care how divided George Street has become, a house divided itself that is falling apart, at least somebody must be able to apply a rein to the level of rancid ignorance that is running down the streets of this country. That you come in here with malice aforethought to abuse down a government when everything that makes common sense should tell you, wait, stop, star, hold on, look at the newspaper though. Because even as you are about to go and do that, even you walking through tall grass, every little boy learns, do not walk through tall grass without looking at the ground, because you might step in something soft. And what does the paper go on to tell us? That the Prime Minister of this country, while being maligned in Barbados, while being maligned in the land of her birth, the Prime Minister in this country, is working on an arrangement with the World Bank to provide assistance for the fishing industry. To do what? First, to repair and replace fishing vessels impacted by Beryl, and to establish a compensatory mechanism for fisherfolk valued at US $10.55 million, or 21 million Barbados dollars. So he's in here cursing down the government, well, the Prime Minister of the and he likes to snipe at people behind the back. It's a strange thing, because, ma'am, I heard him this morning lamenting who in here, and I asked the bell ring for the return of members of this house a half hour ago. Can't see. And, ma'am, the Prime Minister is working on the arrangement with the World Bank to ensure that fishing vessels impacted by Beryl are able to benefit from the owners of the vessels are able to benefit from the compensatory mechanism. But a sense of decency would tell me, well, you can't go now and curse the government, because clearly the world and his wife now know where the Prime Minister is or what the Prime Minister doing. This is one of those nasty scenes now where you can go and say she flying about and drinking drinks. You know from the front page of The Nation what is that the Prime Minister doing. And who she doing it with is the World Bank though, on the same issue that you come to cuss about. But does that make sense? And then, ma'am, it goes on to point out that there is a condition to the financing, which is in-kind or cash contribution. Now, I sit down and I listen to a whole leader of opposition of what I thought used to be a serious party, led by a national hero of Barbados, how he must be rolling in the Caribbean Sea. That if you have been offered the opportunity of making cash or in-kind contribution towards the first 25% of the cost of the value of the vessel, well, that in-kind contribution can come in several forms, including painting the vessel, including working with the people who doing the boat building. Ma'am, nobody is asking any fisherman to drop the hand in the pocket just so. But the Honourable Member will not read anything other than his bank book. Not even the front page of today's paper. And had he done so, he would have saved himself the tremendous embarrassment of appearing to be woefully out of touch. Not satisfied, ma'am, it goes on, the arrangement of the World Bank is intended to fund the rehabilitation of the Barbados Bridgetown Fisheries Marina. The rehabilitation of it, ma'am, and to rehabilitate landing sites and landing facilities. But you know, one of the curious things about the Honourable Member's speech, ma'am, is that dripping with malice as he was, he did not make contact with any of the landing sites or the state of the landing sites in Barbados, because his speech was never intended to be developmental in the interest of the wider fishing industry and the wider sectoral development in Barbados. It is a productive sector. It is a productive sector that begins and ends in one part of the island, because there are fishermen to be found around the entire coast of Barbados. And what the funding that we are seeking to obtain from the World Bank is designed to do is to place, ma'am, 17.95 United States, 17.95 million United States dollars towards rehabilitation of landing sites and landing facilities. And what are some of the challenges that we have experienced at the landing facilities, ma'am? That to haul up a boat in Barbados is one of the hardest things to do because you don't have the equipment all around the island. What are some of the difficulties we've had, ma'am? Because building jetties is now something that we have to look to do in a climate resilient way. What are some of the difficulties, ma'am, that the landing sites and landing facilities in an age where everybody understands now sanitary and phytosanitary, sorry, ma'am?
You have minutes in which to conclude, sir.
Yes, sanitary and phytosanitary issues, those critical issues that are necessary for us to be able to export. Standards of the quality of your fish product is a protein. It got to be kept in a certain way. That we want to have the ice facilities. And that's why this government has gone to the left. This government now get cursed so bad. The only government in Barbados that has gone to the trouble of making sure that all of the fish markets are rehabilitated in this country. But yet still we getting cursed. And ma'am, I could go on and on. The front page is there for all to read. But what is perhaps the deepest sense of sorrow I have, ma'am, is the fact that the Honourable Gentleman has failed to say to this country what is the gospel truth. And I will say it. I am going to say to this House, ma'am, that about 90% of the people impacted, 90% of the fisher folk impacted were uninsured. Now that is a serious problem, and we got to talk solutions. It don't make sense cursing the government, because the government was not supposed to insure anybody's fishing boat. So therefore, you have to have a developmental conversation on the floor of this parliament. Come here and say what you see as the solution. The Dems clearly have none, so we offer one. And we say that there is a form of insurance called parametric insurance, P-A-R-A-M-E-T-R-I-C, parametric insurance, which varies from the ordinary type of insurance, ma'am, where you will have the insurance representative come out to assess the damage that is done and then quantify the losses. With parametric insurance, ma'am, you're going to say that there is a trigger. Category 1 hurricane. Let's pull that from the air. So the trigger is a Category 1 hurricane hits Barbados. Wind speed of whatever Category 1 begins at 70 miles an hour. If that is the accepted trigger. Once that happens, then automatically the question is, can you prove loss? Yes, we can prove loss because 200 boats were damaged. Well, if that's the case, then automatic payout takes place. And that approach, ma'am, is used in other parts of the world, and it is used specifically in vulnerable sectors such as the fishing industry, which is overly and unduly exposed to risk. So it is not beyond us, ma'am, to be able to intervene at a policy level. And where I am saddened today as a member of this place for the last 23 years, is because we are having a serious discussion impacting the lives of ordinary Barbadians. And it is done vapidly and emptily without a single word coming from the government on what solutions can be put in place. And if we use the simple tried and tested method of assisting people with the parametric insurance policy, then, ma'am, we know all we got to do is to decide on what the trigger is. Is it a Category 1 hurricane? Is it that is rainfall and flooding up to a certain level? Is it that is coastal surge up to a certain level? These are objective scientific things that can be measured. But once you have met that, then the collective grouping, the fishing fleet as a whole, is exposed to one question: was there loss? If the answer is yes, and in this case it clearly was loss, then you trigger the payout. And we have to move our people from being in a situation where there are legitimate businessmen. Every fisherman in Barbados, every part of the ecosystem is part of a legitimate business. They're legitimate business people, but we have to get them to act like business people. And the conversation today should not be about cursing the government. The conversation today should be about government and opposition reaching across the aisle to say in the interest of the wider Barbadian public, poor black people that sent us here, man, that this is something that we collectively must do to advance our country and to advance you as a sector. And the bankruptcy that was exhibited today, Madam Deputy Speaker, is something about which I am deeply ashamed. And I say without reservation or apology, the Parliament of Barbados has been disgraced by the Honourable Member, who must have been able to do better had he cared to pause, even to read the newspaper. Not even for thought, but to read the newspaper. Because in the front page, he had to turn the page, ma'am. The very front page. Madam Deputy Speaker, I am aware that my half hour is up. I am so sorry that I am not able to be the person who piloted this bill today, because Lord knows I will still be piloting it. But be that as it may, I am obliged, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member for St. Michael South, please.
Mr. Speaker, sir, Madam Deputy Speaker, my apologies. I want to begin by thanking the Honourable Member who piloted this bill. I want to thank the staff in the ministry as well who would have done all the work to bring us here. As all, I think, is already aware, I had done significant work in this space as minister responsible. And I had hoped, like everybody else, that we could have had an adult conversation and an adult debate, but alas, that was not to be. Mr. Speaker, sir, Madam Deputy Speaker, please. You know, this debate is one of the very important debates, I think, in relation to our maritime space. And there were a number of things that before I get into the substance of the bill, and I would want to say, ma'am, that I would also use this opportunity to wrap up this debate on behalf of the Honourable Minister as well. Madam Deputy, we have spent significant time trying to bring our maritime space up to standard. When I was Minister, when the results of the audit came back, I must recall speaking to the Honourable Prime Minister about my embarrassment for Barbados. I was only Minister for a few months. This was in May or June 2018 when the results of the audit came back. And it said that Barbados was underdeveloped or undeveloped in areas that we should have been more developed because we had not paid attention to this maritime space. And when I thought of it, I was embarrassed, but I was also a little hurt because I felt that these were amazing opportunities to build out new jobs, new industries, to help our creative young people find spaces where they could relate, but we hadn't done the work. It is not right, in my opinion, to come here, and to act as if we have no sin. You would never find me telling lies about the fisher folk because I invested a lot of time in the fishing industry when I was minister, and I built a very personal relationship with the fishermen. And the Bible teaches us that if we say we have no sin, we have deceived ourselves and that the truth is not in us. That if we confess our sin, God is faithful and just and will forgive our sins. And when I think about the industry, there were things that weren't perfect, either in maritime or in fishing. But, Madam Deputy, this government has done more than any other government by far to uplift the lives of the fishing industry and the people who are in it, and to uplift the lives of the person who occupied that maritime space by far. And I want us to realize, sir, that this is a debate, ma'am, that this is a debate about lives, people's capacity to be able to eat a food. And when we talk of this bill as if this bill is some random, abstract thing that has no bearing to ordinary people, then we deceive ourselves and the truth is not in us either. Because at the end of the day, Madam Deputy, this is one of the most important things that we could do. And, when the audit was done in 2018, auditing the years that the Democratic Labour Party government would have been in, when they were talking about what they were doing for people, they should confess that in this space, when it came to almost everything of substance, we were falling terribly behind. But I want to make a few clarifications before I get into the substance of my presentation. The licenses regime that speaks to vessels, small vessels, there were two of them, two issues. The one that speaks to the fishing vessels would not be under the domestic shipping industry, the maritime, the merchant maritime industry, none of those things. Shipping has its own set of regulations, its own laws. But that we came to this parliament in June, and passed it in July, a domestic shipping vessels bill that spoke to improving a number of these conditions for the people in the local space. We debated it here in this parliament in July. In June, we passed it in July. So that to say that there are still these things, of course there are always going to be things that could be done better. But that the legislation that we passed, the persons in shipping would tell you, will make life a lot easier for them. And the opposition leader, I'm just sharing it with him because I don't think that he is aware, but that when we passed it, it would make life easier for persons who ply their trade in these small fishing vessels, these small shipping vessels in Barbados. The other point that I wanted to raise, Madam Deputy, is in relation to, and the opposition leader made another point about a person who came to see the oceans, ma'am. But if he had continued the story to its logical conclusion, what he would remember is that when the person came, having visited and seen with their own eyes the ocean at Oystons, they realized, having visited, because it makes sense to go and see, that what they had proposed as a solution could not work in Barbados. So there is no injury in going to see for yourself. And you cannot be spending millions of dollars to invest and object to somebody going to see for themselves. So when that person came, they saw for themselves that what they thought would have been a solution for Barbados could not work in Barbados. But I do not want to spend too much of my time discussing fisheries, Madam Deputy, because I think this is an important bill. And for those who are listening across Barbados, Madam Deputy, when we propose to improve maritime, I am from a constituency that produced probably the most seafarers in Barbados. I represent, anybody in this parliament knows that the young men who came from Bayville, Baylan, Paddock, we went all the way up to the Pine, really. All the way up to the Pine. A lot of men were what we used to call back in the day seamen, seafarers. And that is how people were able to feed their children for years. When we start talking about these bills as if it doesn't matter if a person can get to eat a food or not, we deceive ourselves. And the truth is not in us. And so when we look at the Maritime Shipping Bill 2024, that trade most of our trade is done via the sea. And that it is in Barbados' interest to make sure that we put ourselves in a position where when that trade is being done, that Barbados is a place where people say they want to go and do business. Where they say that they look at what Barbados is offering in terms of our administration or legislation, because in this space, people want certainty. Certainty. We need to have legislation that will give people a certain degree of certainty. You know what? Not everything was done between the audit of 2018 and now, but a lot of things were done. And we are in a much better position today than we were in 2018 when we came into government. Madam Deputy, one of the first things we did was to outline a policy, a very clear policy, where we crafted the direction for Barbados. This is not no knee-jerk reaction. We crafted it, sir. Ma'am, in that policy, we looked at the different areas that we could create opportunities for people. Between the time of the policy and the drafting the legislation, significant consultation. Who were we consulting with on a number of these matters? Ordinary Barbadians. And that the capacity to be able to take what was said to be only international treaties, sir, and put it, ma'am, and put it into law is not true. Because we then had to make sure that what was necessary for Barbados is reflected in our legislation. The reality is as well that shipping has now become an essential part of life. If we were to remember what happened, I think it was in January. I think it was in January in the Red Sea where they had the incidents, ma'am, where the rebels from Yemen blew up an American ship. And people started thinking immediately about, oh, there's going to be a war. And that this war is going to have consequences as wars do. When I heard that, because I was a minister responsible for Maritime, I started thinking about children not being able to get milk. People not being able to get diapers for their children, us not being able to get food. Because we want to think that these international issues do not have dollar and cent value for ordinary people, but they do. And when you started thinking about what was happening in that space, ma'am, it was impossible for anybody who understood it to think that when you have to now do detours and go, some say up to 3,500 nautical miles around, costing you millions of dollars. At the end of the day, who's going to carry that cost? I recall the Honourable Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs when he was speaking about the cost of the war. And I was reading the comments on social media, and I know people don't understand these things, that when there is a war, these things come back to affect us, ordinary people in their pockets. And people were saying, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, I'm saying to you, it makes a lot of sense. We have to start asking ourselves, what are the issues in the international space that are going to come back to haunt Barbados? That is why Barbados has to position itself as a place where people would want to do business in this space. You know, they say up to 12% of global trade was occurring 300 ships a day. Just through that space. Through that space, you don't have to even remember COVID. You don't even have to remember, well, the impact of COVID. You don't even have to think about the war. But as soon as these things happen, there's going to be a situation where costs are likely to increase. I also remember when I was minister responsible, it's a good thing that I'm not a person prone to impatience at this point in my life. Because I remember when we were discussing the ship registry, and I felt that the ship registry should be generating more revenue for Barbados. I still do. But then when we looked at the international architecture, the legislative architecture around functioning ship registries, there is a need to do a lot of work to make sure that these persons would want to fly, allow you to be the country where you fly, they fly your flag. We hadn't done that work. We in Barbados had not done that work. So now that we are doing this work, I would hope that we see significant increase in the amount of ships registering through our ship registry, which will mean more revenue for Barbadians. And I hope we take that revenue and put back into the industry. We create more seafarers so that people don't have to leave Barbados and go other places looking for a job. They could get jobs in Barbados in the industry. And not all the jobs now are going to be jobs on board the ship. There's a whole set of new and innovative things that could be done, Madam Deputy Speaker, in this space. And I hope that we are able to explore all of these things. So because this is an important discussion. And you know, when we are gone from here, from this space, we should be able to look back and say in the maritime space, we put in place the infrastructure, legislative and otherwise, that would allow ordinary Barbadians to be able to live when we are gone. The system was already struggling. The maritime sector was already struggling across the world after COVID. So you have now to position yourself to be, for the most part in the Caribbean and in this region, the light, and to be able to attract significant number of vessels, ma'am, so that we could do business. But what are some of those areas that I think we could be talking about now? Because when you align, and this is what this conversation must be about, we are a serious government trying to do serious work. You would hear between the Minister of Education and the Minister responsible for innovation, us talking about the need to do new things, AI, becoming more digital and digitization. These are the things we have to do and teach in schools. And when we say we want to do these things, people may think that again that we are also just talking. But what are the new opportunities in shipping? Madam Deputy, we could be talking about robotics, because a lot of the new maritime and merchant shipping is involved in robotics technology. We are talking about big data analytics. And when you hear us talk about these things, because I heard the Minister of Education talking about how important it is, we are talking about new jobs for regular people. When we send Barbadians overseas now to study, or when we have graduation at UE, which is something we discussed the other day when I was a student at the university in 1990 sometime. The first year I went to graduation with my girlfriend, and I remember applauding very big because social science was huge. The next year was my year, again social science was huge. Then the next year, a friend, social science was huge. And I told myself at that point, well, social science is obviously producing perhaps more people than we can absorb. But it means that a university and the Ministry of Education in our schools have to start talking about these things, big data analytics. Madam Deputy, for those of us who are in the low now, like Minister responsible for innovation, the MP for South Central, start talking about the Internet of Things and advanced monitoring systems. These are things that we now have to teach in schools, teach at the Polytechnic. Because there's also this view that unless you are studying certain things in Barbados, you're an idiot. And we have to change that, because most of the advances in the world are not occurring in these highly traditional academic institutions. They are occurring in technical and vocational schools. We have to be able to make sure that some of our Barbadians are doing these kinds of courses so that they could work on ships, so that they could help build ships, so that they can help analyze the ships, sir, ma'am. And then we talk a lot about green in Barbados. Green shipping is a thing. I am just using this example to say that there is a lot of opportunity ahead for Barbados and for ordinary Barbadians in this space if we are able to do it right. And I would also, like I heard the Honourable Minister responsible when he spoke, speak to ships, cruise ships. It would be very nice if at least one day we have a cruise ship that is flying the Barbados flag. But I remember again as Minister when I was having these conversations and I asked them what would that take, and they wanted all of these pieces of legislation. They wanted certainty. And now that we have done these things, or that we are in the process of doing these things and we get them right, we could again start approaching these lanes and have a conversation around getting some of these vessels on our registry. And I do not have to tell you what that means for revenue, for Barbados, and for opportunities for jobs. And it would mean for sure that Barbados could also, if we start having more of them home port, we would then have the opportunity for us to be supplying the provisions to these vessels. But we all have to lift our game, huh? We all have to lift our game, because if we want to supply provisions in Barbados, you have to have the quantity, you have to have the quality, you have to be dependable. We all have to lift all of our game. So once we do this, we have the opportunity to generate revenue for persons also in agriculture. And I really don't want the opposition leader to feel that this is not about ordinary people, because this gives us the opportunity to generate so much revenue for average Barbadians. So much opportunity for average Barbadians. We also had a conversation about the yachts that were leaving, they would come and they couldn't stay for a certain time. We are resolving a number of issues here that would present opportunities for Barbados, whether it is in shipping or in shopping, because, you know, once you have a functioning industry, normally there's a whole other industry that grows up beside it. If we could import more vessels, you could have people along the road to Bridgetown, a number of more regular Barbadians selling their craft and being able to live. And I think about this industry because on the one hand, and this is the hypocrisy sometimes of public life. On the one hand, all of us speak about needing to invest and create new industries, innovative industries to diversify the economy. And whenever you start to talk about diversifying the economy, the same people who say you need to diversify say, but what about these traditional areas? Well, those have to be helped too. But there is a space and a necessity for us to be able to do both. And this legislation puts us in an opportunity, in a position to be able to do both. If the Honourable Member for St. Peter has spoken in this discussion, he will have reminded you as well that when it comes to seafarers and their rights and making sure that certain things are clear, it was important to this government. And I know there's other legislation coming, but it was important to this government that when Barbadians go on board vessels, that they are treated with dignity, and that the legislation that would guide them or affect them is of a standard that Barbadians could enjoy, and not only enjoy, that would protect Barbadians. We wanted to make sure when the legislation comes that we were looking at areas like which area are you going, which country are you going to be having to settle these claims in and certain things. We gave certainty for Barbadians who would have been working on board a number of these ships. This is a conversation, Madam Deputy, for all Barbadians to be interested in. I think when we build out this space as we are doing, we would change the lives of a number of persons. I hope that we get more ships. I hope that as a result of this, we get more jobs. In fact, I'm sure we will get more jobs. And as I think about it, we will get jobs managing, maintaining, looking at. There's so much opportunity here. So much opportunity here. And I do not want to be part of this unnecessary divide where we say if you attend to the issues in shipping, then somehow you are not attending to the issues in fishing. And you know, there is no person in this Parliament building, and certainly none on the opposition side, who will come here and lecture me on fisheries and on fishing when I was a minister responsible for fishing for 3 years and spent a significant amount of my time trying to improve the lives of fishermen all over Barbados, and a lot of them in Oysters and Christchurch South. That's a fact. And I have a wonderful relationship with the fishing sector. So when I said in here earlier, when the cost of vessels, because you can get shipping vessels for less than was quoted, you could get some for more. I mean, the truth is, you know, that number was revealed as if revealed to 50 to 450, like it is some number that the good Lord met you on the road in your Damascus movement and gave you this information that nobody else has. But you could Google, anybody with a phone could Google the cost of a shipping vessel, a fisherman's thing. You could get a fishing boat for less, and you would get a fishing boat for more. I don't know that there's any great secret here, but the reality is that when I speak to the fishermen, yeah, I know Parliament becomes for some, you know, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is a very skilled man in the arts, you know. This is his, as they say for those who are in the arts, mise en scene. It's his whole setup. His performance. You know, as a student of sociology, for those who do dramaturgical interaction, they say that in dramaturgical interaction, you have a front stage and a backstage presence, and what you present front stage may not necessarily be what you are backstage. But they also go on to say that we are all connected, and we all recognize that we are all in some way performing. But sometimes people perform so terribly that even if you are sitting in the audience of a performance that is going bad for somebody, you feel it in your soul badly for them because we are connected. I felt for the Honourable Leader of the Opposition today. But Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to close on this before I ask us to go to committee. I want to talk about the maritime single window. Because, Madam Deputy Speaker, this thing almost crept in quietly, but this is one of the most innovative, I won't be long, but this is one of the most innovative things that has occurred in Barbados. And it was built by Barbadians, for Barbadians, but with international flair and value. The maritime single window was one of the things, Madam Deputy, that we had said we were going to put in place to allow us in Barbados to be able to allow ships when they come, because as it stands, when ships come, they have to submit multiple documents to different places over and over. It's confusing, it's inefficient, it is costly. It allows them to have basically one conduit whereby they submit their information. I remember when we were trying to get the single window off, that Antigua at the time had started it and were ahead of us. And some 5 years later, Antigua you can't belittle Antigua because they do good work in the maritime space, but some 5 years later, they haven't been able to settle it. And Barbados, by the officers in the port, no less, designed, built, put in place, managed, and maintained one of the most effective maritime single windows in the world. Barbadians. And it is so effective that now there are other countries calling on Barbados to say, show me how you did that. That's a fact. Show us how you were able to build that out. Additionally, you would recall, Madam Deputy, that we had for World Cup, the first iteration of it, we had worked with JRCC as a security measure, so our maritime single window communicates with JRCC. So you have regional security built into the maritime single window. It is also communicating with the Lloyd's register, which gives us an international value. No other maritime single window in the world can do that. So we built one of the most innovative. In fact, Madam Deputy Speaker, the OAS wants to see what the Bridgetown Port built so that they perhaps could use it as a best practice model. And in 2023, the Navy's World Maritime, they were awarded the Innovation Award in 2023. And in 2022, another award. Because the young men at the port, under the directorship of, permit me to say so, and the leadership of of John Marie, they have done, Mr. David John Marie, they have done such amazing work down there. And if they were to try to sell this skill and export it across the world, Barbados could make a lot of money. But the point that I am making, that as I close, is that this is a bill that is relevant to everybody. This is a bill that is relevant to everybody. And while this is about the ocean, ma'am, in The Little Mermaid, I have to watch it more now because my daughter now, is into Ariel. But there's all these wonderful quotations. And there was one where she said, I'm glad to see that my dreams don't only have to be dreams. When we started dreaming things for the maritime space, Madam Deputy Speaker, at the time, some of them seemed like they were not going to happen, the maritime single window, which we've done. The amazing pieces of legislation, and permit me to say Nigel King, who did such tremendous work to build up our legislative space. We've done the work. And Barbados is much better positioned because of all the work that was done in this space. So I would wish to close by saying, Madam Deputy Speaker, that this set of legislation, this suite of legislation, puts Barbados and Barbadians and the average Barbadian, because it is an incomplete analysis to suggest that this is only for those considered to be lofty. This is for everyone. And there are opportunities here for the average Barbadian. A lot of these things that we studied at school can be irrelevant in 20 years. New spaces and new opportunities. I commend the Honourable Minister, the Honourable Member for St. Michael West Central. I commend the staff in that department, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I ask that this bill be read a second time.
I beg to second that.
The question is that this bill be read the second time. Honourable members in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. We think the amendment.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg that you do not leave the chair and that this House resolves itself into committee for further consideration of this bill.
The question is that I do now leave the chair and this House resolve itself into committee for further consideration of the bill. Honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. We think the ayes have it. This House now goes into committee.
This Honourable House is now in committee.
Mr. Chairman, this is a very long bill and we are requesting permission to call it in parts. Part 1, clauses 1 to 22.
Chair, I beg that clauses 1 to 22 stand part.
Beg to second that, sir.
Part 1, huh? 1 to 22.
Chair, I beg that part 1, clauses 1 to 22 stand part.
Beg to second that, sir.
The question is that Part 1, clauses 1 to 22 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. Honourable members against, say no.
We think the ayes have it. We think
The ayes have it.
Part 2, clauses 23 to 40.
Chair, I beg that part 2, clauses 23 to 40 stand part.
Beg to second that, sir.
The question is that Part 2, clauses 23 to 40 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 3, clauses 41 to 72.
Chair, I beg that part 3, clauses 41 to 72 stand part.
The question is that Part 3, clauses 41 to 72 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 4, clauses 73 to 81.
Chair, I beg that part 4, clauses 73 to 81 stand part.
Beg to second that, sir.
The question is that Part 4, clauses 73 to 81 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 5, clauses 82 to 85.
Chair, I beg that part 5, clauses 82 to 85 stand part.
The question is that Part 5, clauses 82 to 85 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 6, clauses 86 to 91.
Sir, I beg that part 6, clauses 86 to 91, stand part.
Made and seconded, sir.
The question is that Part 6, clauses 86 to 91 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 7, clauses 92 to 171.
Sir, I beg that part 7, clauses 92 to 171, stand part.
The question is that Part 7, clauses 92 to 171 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 8, clauses 172 to 188.
Sir, I beg that clause 8, clause 172 to 188, stand part.
Made and seconded, sir.
The question is that Part 8, clauses 172 to 188 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 9, clauses 189 to 194.
Sir, I beg that part 9, clauses 189 to 194, stand part.
Made and seconded, sir.
The question is that Part 9, clauses 189 to 194 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 10, clauses 195 to 216.
Sir, I beg that part 10, clauses 195 to 216, stand part.
The question is that Part 10, clauses 195 to 216 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 11, clauses 217 to 226.
Sir, I beg that part 11, clauses 217 to 226, stand part.
Made and seconded, sir.
The question is that Part 11, clauses 217 to 226 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 12, clauses 227 to 243.
Just say part 2. Just say part 2.
Sir, I beg that part 12, clauses 227 to 243, stand part.
The question is that Part 12, clauses 227 to 243 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 13, clauses 244 to 264.
Sir, I beg that part 13, clauses 244 to 264, stand part.
The question is that Part 13, clauses 244 to 264 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 14, clauses 265 to 294.
Sir, I beg that part 14, clauses 265 to 294, stand part.
Made and seconded.
The question is that Part 14, clauses 265 to 294 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 15, clauses 295 to 296.
Sir, I beg that part 15, clauses 295 to 296, stand part.
Made and seconded, sir.
The question is that Part 15, clauses 295 to 296 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 16, clauses 297 to 314.
Sir, I beg that part 16, clauses 297 to 314, stand part.
The question is that Part 16, clauses 297 to 314 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 17, clauses 315 to 341.
Sorry, I beg that clause, part 17, clauses 315 to 341, stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that Part 17, clauses 315 to 341 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 18, clauses 342 to 348.
Sorry, I beg that part 18, clauses 342 to 348, stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that Part 18, clauses 342 to 348 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 19, clauses 349 to 351.
Sorry, I beg that part 19, clauses 349 to 351, stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that Part 19, clauses 349 to 351 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 20, clauses 352 to 357. 377, sorry.
Sorry, I beg that part 20, clauses 352 to 377, stand part.
The question
May I
is
second that, sir?
that Part 20, clauses 352 to 377 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 21, clauses 378 to 412.
Sorry, I beg that part 21, clauses 378 to 412, stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that Part 21, clauses 378 to 412 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 22, clauses 413 to 441.
Sorry, I beg that part 22, clauses 413 to 441, stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that Part 22, clauses 413 to 441 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 23, clauses 442 to 451.
Sorry, I beg that part 22, clauses 413 to 441, stand part. Part 23, clauses 442 to 451, stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that Part 23, clauses 442 to 451 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 24, clauses 452 to 459.
Sorry, I beg that part 24, clauses 452 to 459, stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that Part 24, clauses 452 to 459 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 25, clauses 460 to 644.
Sorry, I beg that part 25, clauses 460 to 644, stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that Part 25, clauses 460 to 644 stand part. All honorable members in favor, please say aye. Honorable members against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 26, clauses 645 to 649.
Sorry, I beg that part 26, clauses 645 to 649, stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that Part 26, clauses 645 to 649 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 27, clauses 650 to 947.
Sorry, I beg that part 27, clauses 650 to 947, stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that Part 27, clauses 650 to 947 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 28, clauses 948 to 1020.
Sir, I beg that part 28, clauses 942 to 1020 stand
948
part.
to 1020. 948 to 1020. 948 to 1020.
Sir, I beg part 28, clauses 948 to 1020 stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that part 28, clauses 948 to 1020 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 29, clauses 1021 to 1033.
Sir, I beg that part 29, clauses 1021 to 1033 stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that part 29, clauses 1021 to 1033 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 30, clauses 1034 to 1052.
Sir, I beg that part 30, clauses 1034 to 1052 stand part.
The question is that part 30, clauses 1034 to 1052 stand part. All honorable members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 31, clauses 1053 to 1070.
Sir, I beg that part 31, clauses 1053 to 1070 stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that part 31, clauses 1053 to 1070 stand part. All honorable members in favor, please say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 32, clauses 1071 to 1078.
Sir, I beg that part 32, clauses 1071 to 1078 stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that part 32, clauses 1071 to 1078 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 33, clauses 1079 to 1204.
Sir, I beg that part 33, clauses 1079 to 1204 stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that part 33, clauses 1079 to 1204 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 34, clauses 1205 to 1488.
Sir, I beg that part 34, clauses 1205 to 1488 stand part.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that part 34, clauses 1205 to 1488 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Schedules 1 to 14 respectively be the schedule 1 to 14 of the bill.
Sir, I beg that schedule 1 to 14 be the schedule to the bill.
May I second that, sir?
The question is that schedule 1 to 14 be the schedule of the bill. All honorable members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Sir, I beg that you do not report to Her Honor the Deputy Speaker the passing of one bill in committee.
The question is that I do not report to Her Honor the Deputy Speaker the passing of one bill in committee. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Honourable members, the chairman of committees has reported to me the passing of one bill in committee.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be read a third time.
The question is that this bill be read the third time. All those honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Methink the ayes have it.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be passed and be cited as the Merchant Shipping Bill 2024. Merchant Shipping Act 2024.
The question is that this bill be now passed and so cited. All honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those members against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it. This bill is now passed and so cited as the Merchant Shipping Bill, the Merchant Shipping Act 2024.
Order number 12, ma'am. In the name of the Honourable Minister of Tourism and International Transport, to move the second reading of the Merchant Shipping Liability and Compensation Bill 2024.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg that this bill be read the second time.
The question is that this bill be read a second time. All members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Methink the ayes have it.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg that you do not leave the chair and the House resolve itself into committee for further consideration of this bill.
Question is that I do now leave the chair and the members. I don't. All our members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it.
This House is now in committee.
Mr. Chairman, permission to also call this one in part.
Permission granted.
Part 1, clauses 1 to 7.
Chair, I beg that part 1, clauses 1 to 7 stand part.
The question is that part 1, clauses 1 to 7 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. All honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 2, clauses 8 to 26.
Chair, I beg that part 2, clauses 8 to 26 stand part.
The question is that part 2, clauses 8 to 26 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 3, clauses 27 to 29.
Sir, I beg that part 3, clauses 27 to 29 stand part.
The question is that part 3, clauses 27 to 29 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 4, clauses 30 to 33.
Sir, I beg to move that part 4, clauses 30 to 33 stand part.
The question is that part 4, clauses 30 to 33 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 5, clauses 34 to 54.
Sir, I beg to move that part 5, clauses 34 to 54 stand part.
The question is that part 5, clauses 34 to 54 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 6, clauses 55 to 63.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 6, clauses 55 to 63 stand part.
The question is that Part 6, clauses 55 to 63 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 7, clauses 64 to 76.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 7, clauses 64 to 76 stand part.
The question is that Part 7, clauses 64 to 76 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 8, clauses 77 to 86.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 8, clauses 77 to 86 stand part.
The question is that Part 8, clauses 77 to 86 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 9, clauses 87 to 95.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 9, clauses 87 to 95 stand part.
The question is that Part 9, clauses 87 to 95 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Clauses 96 to 105.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 10, clauses 96 to 105 stand part.
The question is that Part 10, clauses 96 to 105 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 11, clauses 106 to 112.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 11, clauses 106 to 112 stand part.
The question is that Part 11, clauses 106 to 112 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 12, clauses 113 to 115.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 12, clauses 113 to 115 stand part.
The question is that Part 12, clauses 113 to 115 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 13, clauses 116 to 118.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 13, clauses 116 to 118 stand part.
The question is that Part 13, clauses 116 to 118 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Sir, I beg to move that you do not report to Her Honor the Deputy Speaker the passing of one bill in committee.
The question is that I do not report to Her Honor the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the passing of one bill in committee. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Chair, I beg to move that the schedule be the schedule to the bill.
The question is that we know that the schedule be the schedule of the bill. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Chair, I beg to move that you do not report to Her Honor the Deputy Speaker the passing of one bill in committee.
The question is that I do not report to Her Honor the Deputy Speaker the passing of one bill in committee. Honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
On a point, I rise on a point of privilege, Madam Deputy Speaker. You know, Madam Deputy Speaker, I came into this chamber and I see my good friend. I don't know if we are allowed to do what the member's doing. Placing the phone to your ears, join parliamentary debates and sessions. I don't think that is allowed in this chamber. And I would like the good member who represents people to cease, the member for Christchurch South, to desist, to stop.
Honourable members, please.
To, you know, to respect the chamber. And stop using his phone while we are in this chamber. On the point of privilege, Madam
The
Deputy
point is
Speaker.
taken.
I beg to second that.
Honourable member, your comment is understood, but let us continue to pay the high respect that is due in this honourable chamber, all of us, and let us continue with the government's business at this time. Honourable members, please. You have every moment after the session to be able to talk with each other downstairs or wherever you're going thereafter, but let us please continue with the government's business. Honourable members, please, can we conclude the people's business? And then when you get on the outside, you can have your exchange. I wish, please, to be able to continue the deliberations of this distinguished chamber. And I want to indicate that the chairman of committees has reported to me the passing of one bill in committee.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be read a third time.
The question is that this bill be now read the third time. All those honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be now passed and be cited as the Merchant Shipping Liability and Compensation Act
The question,
2024.
the question is that this bill be now passed and so cited. All honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it. This bill is now passed and so cited.
Order number 13, ma'am. In the name of the Honourable Minister of Tourism and International Transport, to move the second reading of the Merchant Shipping Liner Conferences Bill 2024.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be read a second time.
The question is that this bill be read the second time. All honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that you do not leave the chair and that this House resolve itself into committee for further consideration of this bill.
Honourable members, the question is that I do now leave the chair and the House resolve itself in committee. Honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it. This chamber is now in committee.
This House is now in committee.
Mr. Chairman, similar request to call this in parts.
So granted.
Part 1, gentlemen. Part 1, clauses 1 to 9.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 1, clauses 1 to 9 stand part.
The question is that Part 1, clauses 1 to 9 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 2, clauses 10 to 12.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 2, clauses 10 to 12 stand part.
The question is that Part 2, clauses 10 to 12 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 3, clauses 13 to 14.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 3, clauses 13 to 14 stand part.
The question is that Part 3, clauses 13 to 14 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 4, clauses 15 to 16.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 4, clauses 15 to 16 stand part.
The question is that Part 4, clauses 15 to 16 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 5, clauses 17 to 18.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 5, clauses 17 to 18 stand part.
The question is that Part 5, clauses 17 to 18 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 6, clause 19.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 6, clause 19 stand part.
The question is that Part 6, clause 19 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 7, clauses 20 to 21.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 7, clauses 20 to 21 stand part.
The question is that Part 7, clauses 20 to 21 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 8, clauses 22 to 24.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 8, clauses 22 to 24 stand part.
The question is that Part 8, clauses 22 to 24 stand part. All honorable members in favor, please say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 9, clause 25.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 9, clause 25 stand part.
The question is that Part 9, clause 25 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 10, clauses 26 to 30.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 10, clauses 26 to 30 stand part.
The question is that Part 10, clauses 26 to 30 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 11, clauses 31 to 41.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 11, clauses 31 to 41 stand part.
The question is that Part 11, clauses 31 to 41 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Report. Report.
Chair, I beg that you do not report to Her Honor the Deputy Speaker the passing of one bill in committee.
The question is that I do not report to Her Honor the Deputy Speaker the passing of one bill in committee. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Honourable members, the chairman of committee has reported to me the passing of one bill in committee. All those are,
No. Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be read a third time.
all honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be now passed and be cited as the Merchant Shipping Lina Conference Act 2024.
Honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it. This bill is now passed and so cited.
Order number 14, ma'am. In the name of the Honourable Minister of Tourism and International Transport, to move the second reading of the Merchant Shipping Multimodal Transport Bill 2024.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be read a second time.
The question is that this bill now read the second time. Honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. We think the ayes have it.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that you do not leave the chair and that this House resolve itself into committee for further consideration of this bill.
The question is that I do now leave the chair and the House resolves itself in committee. All honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. We think the ayes have it.
This House is now in committee.
Mr. Chairman, similar request. Bill be
So
called in
granted.
parts. Part 1, clauses 1 to 13.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 1, clauses 1 to 13, stand part.
The question is that Part 1, clauses 1 to 13 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 2, clauses 14 to 17.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 2, clauses 14 to 17, stand part.
The question is that Part 2, clauses 14 to 17 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 3, clauses 18 to 20.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 3, clauses 18 to 20, stand part.
The question is that Part 3, clauses 18 to 20 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
4, clauses 21 to 26.
Chair, I beg to move that Part 4, clauses 21 to 26, stand part.
The question is that Part 4, clauses 21 to 26 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 5, clauses 27 to 33.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 5, clauses 27 to 33, stand part.
The question is that Part 5, clauses 27 to 33 stand part. All honourable members in favour, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 6, clauses 34, 36.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 6, clauses 34 to 36, stand part.
question is that Part 6, clauses 34 to 36 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 7, clauses 37 to 44.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 7, clauses 37 to 44 stand part.
The question is that Part 7, clauses 37 to 44 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, you say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 8, clauses 45 to 52.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 8, clauses 45 to 52 stand part.
The question is that Part 8, clauses 45 to 52 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 9, clauses 53 to 59.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 9, clauses 53 to 59 stand part.
The question is that Part 9, clauses 53 to 59 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 10, clauses 60 to 66.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 10, clauses 60 to 66 stand part.
The question is that Part 10, clauses 60 to 66 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 11, clauses 67 to 68.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 11, clauses 67 to 68 stand part.
The question is that Part 11, clauses 67 to 68 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 12, clauses 69 to 71.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 12, clauses 69 to 71 stand part.
The question is that Part 12, clauses 69 to 71 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 13, clauses 72 to 75.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 13, clauses 72 to 75 stand part.
The question is that Part 13, clauses 72 to 75 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 14, clauses 76 to 83.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 14, clauses 76 to 83 stand part.
The question is that Part 14, clauses 76 to 83 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 5, clauses 84 to 86. Part 15, sorry. Clauses 84 to 86, sorry.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 15, clauses 84 to 86 stand part.
The question is that Part 15, clauses 84 to 86 stand part. All honorable members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 16, clauses 87 to 89.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 16, clauses 87 to 89 stand part.
The question is that Part 16, clauses 87 to 89 stand part. Honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 17, clauses 90 to 93.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 17, clauses 90 to 93 stand part.
The question is that Part 17, clauses 90 to 93 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Aye. All members against, we say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 18, clauses 94 to 134.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 18, clauses 94 to 134 stand part.
The question is that Part 18, clauses 94 to 134 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 19, clauses 135 to 143.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 19, clauses 135 to 143 stand part.
The question is that Part 19, clauses 135 to 143 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 20, clauses 144 to 149.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 20, clauses 144 to 149 stand part.
The question is that Part 20, clauses 144 to 149 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Sir, I beg to move that you do not report to Her Honor the Deputy Speaker the passing of one bill in committee.
The question is that I do not report to Her Honor the Deputy Speaker the passing of one bill in committee. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Honorable members, the chairman of committees has reported to me the passing of one bill in committee.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be read a third time.
The question is that this bill be read a third time. All those honorable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be passed and be cited as the Immersion Shipping Multimodal Transport Act 2024.
The question is that this bill be now passed and so cited. All honorable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it. This bill is now passed and so cited.
Order number 15, ma'am. In the name of the Honourable Minister of Tourism and International Transport, to move the second reading of the Merchant Shipping Maritime Marriage Bill 2024.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be read a second time.
The question is that this bill be now read the second time. All honorable members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that you do not leave the chair and that this House resolve itself into committee for further consideration of this bill.
The question is that I do now leave the chair. And this House resolve itself in committee. All our members in favor, please say aye. All those against, please say nay. I think the ayes have it.
This honorable House is now in committee.
Mr. Chairman, like previous bills, permission to.
So granted.
Part 1, clauses 1 to 3.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 1, clauses 1 to 3 stand part.
The question is that Part 1, clauses 1 to 3 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 2, clauses 4 to 18.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 2, clauses 4 to 18 stand part.
The question is that Part 2, clauses 4 to 18 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 3, clauses 19 to 32.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 3, clauses 19 to 32 stand part.
The question is that Part 3, clauses 19 to 32 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 4, clauses 33 to 40.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 4, clauses 33 to 40 stand part.
The question is that Part 4, clauses 33 to 40 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. All members against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Part 5, clause 41.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 5, clause 41 stand part.
The question is that Part 5, clause 41 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Clause 42 to 54.
Sir, I beg to move that Part 6, clause 42 to 54 stand part.
The question is that Part 6, clauses 42 to 54 stand part. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Schedule.
Sir, I beg that the schedule be the schedule to the bill.
The question is that the schedule be the schedule to the bill. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Report.
Sir, I beg to move that you do not report to Her Honor the Deputy Speaker the passing of one bill in committee.
The question is that I do not report to Her Honor the Deputy Speaker the passing of one bill in committee. All honorable members in favor, say aye. Honorable members against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Honorable members, the chairman of committees has reported to me the passing of one bill in committee.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be read a third time.
The question is that this bill be read a third time. All those honorable members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this bill be now passed and be cited as the Merchant Shipping Maritime Marriage Act 2024.
The question is that this bill be now passed and so cited. All honorable members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say nay. Methinks the ayes have it. This bill is now passed and so cited.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that the House be adjourned until Tuesday, the 29th of October at 10 a.m.
Honorable members, the question is that this sitting be adjourned? Adjourned until October the 29th, 2024. All honorable members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it. This chamber is now adjourned until October 29th, 2024.